if you don't think your colors are working properly. So we will fill up where those colors should be using motion. Okay? So now you've got your shapes laid out, fill in your color. Next step, before you start going into detail work, actually switch palettes on this one. Looks like I chose different colors here. But before you start doing your detail, this is really important. Okay? Go into the enemy editor. I need a glass of water. And make your enemies. Make like a demo of them real quick. That way, we can go into the formation editor and look at them the way the player would and see if there's any inconsistencies in our design right now. Okay? You never know when you might notice that their eyeball is too far. Maybe something you placed along the edges, especially when you're doing, large enemies with multiple sprite frames. When something's going to be misaligned. And we can definitely see that here. Put it kind of in the middle of the screen there. Okay. Check this out. Right here especially. That curve is not consistent with the way this curves. So we're going to have to go back and fix that. That's just like a giant tumor in his shell, basically. So we'll have to fix that. And then this foot right down here is ugly. Okay? See, this foot is mostly flat. Whereas these other feet are kind of pointing out and down a little bit, and this one's pointing way down. This foot is almost like it's either being lifted up to take a step forward, or it's just completely flat. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to try to shape that to where it looks like it's kind of, pointing this direction and not so much the way it is now, which is sort of a 45-degree angle. So let's do that real quick. Go back into the editor, and the way I would do that, you're just going to have to mess with the direction of your pixels. Okay, so here's the old one. Foot's tucked up under there, underneath there, ugly and everything. And this one, I remember redoing this, and I didn't do it well enough. What I would probably do here, go ahead and just mark this, and clone it, and then use the box tool to erase it. Get a general shape, and then probably make it even more flat than that. I mean, that thing's really poking straight out in the picture. Okay. Anyway, do something like that. Make the claws poke out this way more. Something sort of there-ish. It's getting there. Hopefully you get what I'm saying here. So make the foot point this way. Which I haven't done in future editions of this. Okay, so take the time to fix what you've already messed up on. You want to make sure the big shapes are set in stone. They're where you want them to be before you start adding all the extra detail. So let's actually go to the detail now that I've got it kind of where I want it. Let's look at this thing. We'll start on the shell first because it's the most noticeable one. It looks like a bunch of rocks kind of set together, really. But they're flat rocks, okay? It looks like a big, curved, flat piece of armor. Scales, I guess, maybe. But let's take a look at some of the different attributes of this pattern. Okay, if you look real close, along this edge here, what you'll notice is these are all uniformly shaped scales. Alright? So here in a minute, what we're going to do, and there's just one row of them, what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line sort of tracing or running parallel to the edge of the shell. Draw a line right there, and then we're just going to kind of break it up and make shells sort of evenly, scales evenly spaced along the edge of the shell. But in the middle, they're not all evenly spaced. So when we get to the middle part, if you'll look, what makes this pattern is there's just a bunch of like ovals and circles and different things like that out here in the middle, and they look like they fit all together because there's some really dark pieces, like the lines in between are all really dark, but then the scales themselves are all really light, so it gives a nice big contrast. It's like they're, actually pieces of something sitting in there, sitting in sort of a mortar of the shell. So we'll do that. Trace a parallel. What the heck? Trace a parallel. There we go. A real parallel. I'm going too fast. Okay, and then just go through here and break it up kind of evenly. Undo is your friend. Break it up evenly, kind of like that, just like that. Okay, so they're uniform, even size, and then out in the middle we're just going to make random circles. Okay, circle-y shapes. One thing you want to do is make sure. Okay, so this pattern is like pieces of shell that fit together. All right, if you draw circles by themselves, you'll achieve that pattern. But if you do this, where you build like a circle on top of each other, okay, do you see how the pattern just shifted then? Now it looks like scales that are sitting on top of each other. Okay? See, now it looks like these up here are in front, and these are slowly moving back. Well, that's not the way the pattern actually is. See, it's pieces of, looks like rock. Chitin, I guess. I don't know what armadillo shells are actually made up of. The toenails you leave behind. You clip your toenails in the bathroom. That was really nasty. Okay, so I went ahead and did this here to save time. I went through and I made this pattern. If you'll notice, I didn't focus on cutting all these down to just 1 pixel. The reason being is because I kind of liked it the way it was. Later on, I'll probably have it leaves me a lot of room to shift the pattern more, to adjust where certain pieces of the shell will be sitting. And if I had gone ahead and done that now, later on when I go to add the values, it might not end up looking the exact same. Rather than explain that more, because I'm already messing up on that one. Alright, so let's actually start adding some values to these. Look here. Really light colors on the edge. These edge pieces, they're really, really light color. Okay, so we'll just go through here and fill these with a really light color. Alright, and then if you'll look right up here at the top, you'll also notice that these are almost white because of the way the light is hitting this armadillo. So up at the top, what we're going to do is we're going to take our lightest shade actually. Just go through here and just kind of make some lines like that. Alright, see, I'm kind of knocking out some of my black line. Who cares? I'm going to ignore that for now. Anyway, do that, and then on the pieces themselves, add some value to them by kind of throwing on some light colors, preferably more towards your light source, which is up here in the top right. Well, it's actually the sun. It would be kind of above, but most of it's scattering across the top right. Anyway, throw them in there, and then throw you that really light color as kind of a highlight. Throw it kind of like up in the corners and maybe out in the middle. And what that does is that gives it the appearance of it being more of a rounder, kind of a standout shape. Alright, if it was just these colors we have here, it would be really flat, but adding that extra highlight really makes it pop. Okay, so go through and do that just to each one. Just use your best judgment, and this is what I came up with.